Stunning new details are emerging in the Renuka Swamy murder investigation case in which Kannada superstar Darshan and his alleged partner Pavitra are accused. Times Network accessed the police remand copy which claims 5 lakh rupees were being offered to unknown individuals to not name Darshan and take the blame for the murder. The police have also taken Darshan and other accused to the spot where the murder allegedly took place. All right, let's shift our focus. Less than a month after Donald Trump was convicted on 34 felony charges, his rival and American President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, has also been convicted. In a first, a serving U.S. president's child has been found guilty on all 3 felony counts that he faced. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's eldest son, has been convicted of buying a handgun and lying about it while being a user of crack cocaine. Hunter received the verdict in court as his friends and family, including the First Lady Jill Biden, stood in court. The jury gave its verdict after about 3 hours of deliberation over 2 days, a week-long trial in Delaware, the Biden family's hometown. They had some excruciating testimonies about Hunter's addiction habit from some of his closest relatives. Joe Biden, remember, has earlier said that as president, he should not pardon his son should he be convicted. Hunter Biden was accused of making 2 false statements when filing out a form to buy a Colt revolver back in October 2018. First, by lying that he was not addicted to or using drugs, and then by declaring the statement to be true. A third charge alleges that he then illegally owned the gun for 11 days before his sister-in-law and then lover, Haley Biden, threw it in a trash bin when she panicked. No sentencing date is set yet, though the maximum time in prison that Hunter Biden could face is 25 years. Now, with the presidential poll set to be held in November this year, it's going to be interesting to see how this conviction now impacts the race to White House, considering the fact that Donald Trump has also been convicted. To talk more on this, I'm joined by Mr. Ray Locker, journalist and author. I'm also joined by Mr. Saurabh Shukla, editor-in-chief, newsmobile.in. He's joining us from Washington, D.C. Good evening. Namaskar to both of you. Ray, let me start with you first. Conviction versus conviction is what has now gripped the presidential race in the United States. First, it was Donald Trump, and now it is Joe Biden, the president's son himself, the first for a serving president in America. How is it being seen really by Americans and in terms of the politics that is playing out ahead of the polls?
Well, I don't think Hunter Biden's conviction is going to have anything to do with the results in November. Yeah, he's the son of a president, but he had long-standing drug problems. This happened in 2018 when Joe Biden was a private citizen. This is nothing like what Donald Trump's been convicted of: 34 felony counts of, falsifying business records to cover up his misbehavior and cheating on his wife and affair with a porn star. I think 2 separate things. And it makes the fact that Trump has been convicted of felonies and he has attacked the judicial system makes it hard for him and his surrogates to now say, oh, the court system is great. Look at what happened to Hunter Biden.
Okay, Saurabh, Ray says that these are 2 separate cases. The convictions are very different. But the fact of the matter is that, the intensity and the gravity of the convictions might be different. But Hunter Biden is the current U.S. president's son. And when that happens in an election year, I'm sure it's going to have some sort of impact on Joe Biden's, potential and race ahead to the White House. Already coupled with the fact, of course, that there are considerations about his age, the concerns about his age that keep playing out now and then.
Having been here in the United States and covered U.S. politics for a long time, I would tend to agree with Ray because, one, there's a fundamental difference. This is not a conviction against a candidate. It's not about Joe Biden himself. And Hunter Biden's past record has been a well-known thing, has obviously plagued and impacted the Biden family. But I don't see this conviction having a similar impact as Donald Trump's conviction either ways, because obviously he's the candidate. They're far more serious charges. Having said that, certainly, and Joe Biden has made it very clear that he's not going to pardon his son should a sentence be awarded. So there are two fundamental differences. But yes, in election season, as I said, both sides will try to rally voters around this. But when it comes to, I think the American voter is very discerning. Uh, when it comes to actually selling this point of equating both the convictions, I don't see a parallel emerging here, and I don't see the voters getting swayed on this point. There will be other bigger issues which are at stake both for the Democrats and Republicans, and that will play out in a much bigger manner than this particular conviction. Shreya?
Hmm. Sure. I'm going to come to those issues later, Saurabh, but let me ask you, Ray Locker, Saurabh mentioned a very interesting thing, that of Joe Biden saying that, should his son be convicted, he will not pardon him because he has the power as the president to do so. But he's also time and again said that at the end of the day, he's a father. Do you see that happening? Of course, we don't have the quantum of sentence still being pronounced by the court. But if that happens, do you see the US president actually, stepping up and playing the role of the president first and the father later?
Well, I don't think he's going to pardon Hunter. I guess possibly if he loses his reelection campaign in November, he might pardon him on his last minute in office. A lot of times that does happen. It remains to be seen. I don't think that what he was convicted of will deserve jail time. So, he'll probably get fined or some other kind of sentence. Again, not something that he needs a pardon for. Whereas Donald Trump has pardoned a whole rogues gallery of people associated with him, with his campaigns, corrupt former congressmen. And so there's really no comparison between what Joe Biden says he's going to do or not going to do in this case and what Donald Trump already did while he was president.
Hmm. Saurabh, in terms of popularity, in terms of the opinion polls, which of the candidates are actually weighing in more? Who has more impact on ground between Donald Trump and Joe Biden? Donald Trump, after his conviction, of course, it's like a bifurcated opinion. Some say that it's going to make his supporters support him more, while some say that it's going to go completely against him.
Well, Shreya, I would say that it's a divided house, even though Donald Trump may have a lead in some of the polls, and clearly so his own Republican voters will be rallying for him. Even there in the Republican parties, there is, there is a sense of dissatisfaction. Paul Ryan, a former speaker, spoke out openly recently. His own vice president has gone against him. So he's had some challenges. For Joe Biden, certainly, be it the Middle East issue or the immigration issue, has been plaguing him. But I would say, having covered a lot of U.S. elections, is still a long way to go. November is a lot of things can change, but for now, I would say it's going to be an interesting election. It remains to be seen who manages to sway voters on election day and just months ahead of it. You will also see their performance in the debates, which are going to happen. Obviously, the convention is something which is going to formally endorse both the candidates. So I think I would really not hedge any guess at this stage. This has happened in India as well. Exit polls have gone wrong. And I would say that in some ways, it's an evenly poised race, and the voters will decide. But yes, it's going to be a tough election, if you ask me.
Ray, let me also get in, what issues the citizens want to be addressed in this election. Illegal immigration is perhaps one of the top concerns of Americans. What other concerns do they have this year when they, go out and vote? Whom are they looking for to actually sort of solve or resolve their problems?
Well, I think obviously inflation is still a major concern, although we had a very promising report today that shows it's ticking downward. The continued health of the economy, climate change, the fate of American democracy, abortion, all of those are major issues. Right now, you see Donald Trump favored on the economy, which is hard to understand since the economy basically is doing as well as in any part of the developed world under Joe Biden. Um, but, as Saurabh said, these things, things change at a moment's notice in elections. It's only June. I mean, I remember in July 1988, when Vice President George Bush was 17 points behind in a Gallup poll to Democrat Mike Dukakis. And at that moment, we all thought, okay, he's done. And he won by 10 percentage points. So a lot happens during a campaign. And sometimes voters break one way or the other, almost in unison at the last minute. We saw that in 1980 in the race between Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan. People thought Reagan was too old. He was 69, which seems kind of quaint right now. I think both candidates would love to be 69 years old right now. And in the last week, the whole race shifted toward Reagan and he won. So we could see that again this year. It's just really hard to tell. It's really early.
Well, absolutely. And, we've seen that in Indian elections. Saurabh Shukla would know that these elections have been anything but predictable with the results that came in and how the states performed here. But Saurabh, let me also ask you, here in India, when we go on social media, there are two things that actually come up when we see the situation in America as related to the elections that are coming up. One is, of course, Joe Biden's videos that keep going viral here, which talk about his age, which talk about the concern about him getting older. The second is the university protests that happened, that have been happening, students taking part in the protest amid the Israel-Hamas war. Are these big concerns there on ground for the American voter? Or is it just a social media phenomena? Is it just, online algorithm that is propagating it?
See, it's a very good question, Shreya. In the era of social media, both the campaigns have been mounting really aggressive pitches, whether it's a Biden campaign, who are taking out old videos and also what Trump has been saying, or the Trump campaign, which has been trying to play on Joe Biden's age. But I still feel that as Ray is also mentioning, that it's still early days. Yes, the voters do get galvanized by social media campaign. It does have an impact, but sometimes, they vote on very different issues. I can give you a clear example, in the state of Maryland, which is just next to Washington, D.C., there was a very, very tough primary where, a billionaire was poised against a different candidate. He put in a lot of money on the social media campaign, but he lost because obviously voters saw it differently. Similarly, I would say the issues will guide it. Yes, Joe Biden has a challenge from a lot of younger voters, but he can do a lot more on that. On immigration, one of the things that the campaigns has to realize that you have to distinguish illegal immigration and skilled immigration, because America is a land of immigrants. It has been made a great country by a lot of contributing immigrants who are serving the American economy. So I think those are the issues. It remains to be seen which campaign really comes out first and makes sure that there's a clear distinction. Then on Middle East as well, on younger voters as well, one of the biggest challenges that the Trump campaign is going to face is on reproductive rights. A lot of women voters are outraged about that. That you cannot get an abortion done. So those are the issues which will be at play, certainly. And it remains to be seen if the Biden campaign can actually pick on it. So far, I would say the campaign for them has been lackluster on some of these clear issues. And that is where they really need to pull it out. Trump obviously is trying to address the minority voters. He addressed a big rally, in New Jersey area, clear Democratic area he's trying to target. But yes, things can change, and it is going to be an interesting election, that I can tell you. And obviously, we are all watching the outcome of this. Shreya.
Absolutely. We're all watching closely. Let's see how this pans out. We'll leave it there. Saurabh Shukla and Ray Locker, thank you very much to both of you gentlemen for joining us on Mirror Now and sharing your thoughts and helping us better understand the situation there in the United States. Thank you very much.